It's why I don't want to watch dramas. I don't want to watch other people in pain, and I don't want to watch other people suffering and trying to get ahead and failing. I want the fantasy.
So what I'm hearing is that
wait a second. What are you hearing? When you hear things, strange things happen. So
I'm just saying, what I'm hearing is that you're not a fan of Westerns either.
Westerns?
Yeah, you say you don't like seeing people suffer. You don't like seeing people having problems.
Let me rephrase that. Except in Westerns.
Oh, okay.
And period pieces.
Oh, of course.
I love to see people suffer in Westerns and period pieces.
The more suffering,
the better. Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
If I cannot see crows plucking a guy's eyes out in a desert, I just don't feel fulfilled, really.
All right, everybody, welcome to Nerds of a Certain Vintage. As always, I am Patrick.
And I am Andy.
And we are here for our podcast proper for Sunday, January 22nd.
That's right.
Yes.
And normally, we would do, if you watch the Home Companion, you know this, we do a Bonkers Banana Pants movie, we do a listicle episode, we do a deep dive, and then we do a media club. Right. And then if there's a fifth Sunday in the month, we do a Ramble, where we just talk about nothing in particular.
Right.
But as a part of our media club, we decided to do something on the Mayfair Witches since the series just came out.
Right.
So this is going to be our Ramble.
Yeah. So we will get to our media club, where we will talk about as much of Mayfair Witches as we have read up to that point.
It's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because we just decided after, I think, the midweek minute.
Yeah, we were just like, hey, let's do that thing.
Why don't we just read the book, because we don't remember anything. We're watching the show and we're like, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah.
How does this work exactly? So we decided we'd read the book, and then we could talk about how much of the show has come out, and also talk about how much of the book we've read.
And we could talk a little bit about what we've read so far, because I think both of us got the digital format.
Right. This is funny, and this happens.
But before we get into this, what are you drinking over there, Andy?
I'm having a Tavern Brown Ale.
Nice.
Ale Works, Williamsburg, Virginia, great brewery.
How's that real beer taste? Tell me slowly.
This is a particularly real beer. It's so wet and creamy.
Don't leave out any details. Go slower.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I'm over here drinking one of my Upside Down Golden Athletic Brewing Company beers. Non-alcoholic.
Less than 0.05% alcohol.
And I'm going to count that.
As a non-alcoholic, sure.
No,
I'm fairly sure there's some alcohol in air. So, I mean...
well, if you live in Kentucky, there's definitely...
There's no doubt about it.
Dry January doesn't mean I've got to become a priest, right?
No, absolutely not, man.
So
live a little with your 0.5% alcohol.
Yes.
You poor son of a bitch. Here's the thing: is that we looked at the library to borrow it for the Kindle,
right?
And it was a 17-week wait.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and we sort of expected something like that because
the show's out.
So I guarantee it. Yeah. I guarantee it. Which I like. I'm glad to see that people are interested in the actual source material and not just watching the show, because, I'm a long-time listener to the podcast, and I'm always an advocate of reading the source material before you watch a show, because it's much richer, and the show could ruin some of the surprises that are in the book, whereas the show is generally an interpretation of the book and should be viewed as such. It has always been my feeling. Sometimes and very rarely the movie outdoes the book, or its interpretation is so rich that it increases the value of your reading of the book. But it's always better to have read the book, and that way you can appreciate how that new media's interpretation helps that along.
But you have to also remember the book, too. That was our problem.
Exactly. That was a huge problem.
We both read the book.
We'd already had the experience with Anne Rice's neighbors, uncles, best friends, cousins, girlfriends interview with a vampire. So we were anticipating that there were going to be some major changes here.
Yeah.
So and this is going to become a new running joke. We said something on the midweek minute about something that was not what it had been purported to be, and you were like, "Don't you mean Anne Rice's whatever that thing was?" And I thought that
Velma.
was yeah. You were like, "It's not."
Velma.
We were talking about Velma having nothing to do with Scooby-Doo whatsoever, but being called Velma, and you were like, "Don't you mean Anne Rice's Scooby-Doo?" And I was like, "That is so good.
Yes.
I'm going to remember that forever." And so you may hear that a lot if we say something like Anne Rice's whatever, Anne Rice's Mona Lisa from the Glass Onion.
That's right.
Yeah, that was Anne Rice's Mona Lisa.
But the implication when we say that would be that they shat the bed, right?
To some degree.
And they did not shat the bed in the Mona Lisa, but Velma has shat the bed.
So
I almost want to go and watch more of it.
Just to see how bad it can become.
Yeah, it's like the rubbernecking thing. You got to see the train wreck.
The crash. Yeah. I don't. There has to be a little bit of a recovery period where you realize, okay, they have essentially like taken one of your childhood favorites behind the shed and beaten it to death with a bat, and you have to mourn the passing of it before you go to watch whatever this is and say, is there something to it on its own, even though these characters have nothing to do with what I know and love.
Right, well, I challenge you. We're going to continue watching them.
Oh my God! Why would you do this to me? I don't know that I can.
Get you.
Maybe.
Make
I
you
think.
Get you.
I think my wife. Yeah, it's a make you get you. That is straight up a make you get you.
No, that's a make you.
Yeah, that's a make you like force you. So we will see.
There's no get you.
There's no get you. That's just a make you. Make you.
You're going to have to make me.
Well. I'm a liberal guy. I wanted to give it a chance, but it just was not going anywhere. And so at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't know that I want to watch any more of Anne Rice's Scooby-Doo.
Watch us watch it, and then we'll be like, 6 weeks from now, we'll be like, that was fantastic.
No,
they nailed the landing.
I don't think that
somehow they did the triple Lindy, and they nailed it.
I know, Rodney Dangerfield style. I don't think that's going to happen, but. As we talked about in the Listicle episode, the Listicle Bonkers Banana Pants movies, some of the best conversations we had on the podcast was the worst shit that we have ever seen.
Yeah.
And this seems like that would be in that wheelhouse.
It could definitely be in that wheelhouse.
So I don't want to judge it too harshly, like up front. Although that is my...
It could make for great content for the podcast.
Yeah, because... But would I do something like that? That does sound like something I would do.
But would you?
But nah. No. But maybe.
Lord.
So, anyway, the Mayfair Witches.
I'm going to slurp this up.
I'm going to slurp it up. This is rock stardom, baby.
Sometimes they ask me to sign it. All right, so, the Mayfair Witches,
we both got the... So, anyway, the library wait was 17 weeks. Getting the paperback, which was available, it would not come in until February, and I was just astonished by that. Like, what do you order on Amazon anymore that doesn't come in 2 days? But
so we both bought the digital version,
right?
And I think we both read the first chapter.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed the first chapter.
I really did. It took me back and made me realize what a wonderful writer Anne Rice was, and I really dug the horror elements that were present in this. Thing and when I thought about it visually, like how would it play in a TV show, I thought the first episode could have just been this.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, when he essentially it starts with him meeting the guy from the Talamasca.
Yeah.
In a bar and not knowing who he is, but saying, "Hey,
the doctor."
Right, the doctor.
Meeting who is the guy from Talamasca.
Right, the doctor who was taking care of Deidre, the Mayfair who has been kept catatonic for however many years. You
could almost have a bunch of what happened in the first episode there with just a framing beginning of him telling the story.
That's how I would have done it. It would have been them meeting in the bar and them saying, "Well, I've got a ghost story. Well, I would love to hear it." They didn't even have to have.
I kind of collect those.
Yeah, they didn't even have to do that thing where he's like struggling and then he calls him later and tells him the story.
Yeah.
It could just be in the bar.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, "I have a ghost story," and he's just like, "Well, I collect them. Would you like to tell me?" And him being like,
"Sure,
I don't know that I want to." And he's like, "Well, that's fine." And just him going, "You know what? Yeah, let me tell you what happened." And then it could be just a whole flashback thing.
Yeah.
And that especially towards the end, where they kind of introduce Lasher in a very, like, you never really see him kind of way. Like,
Right.
this is one of the things I didn't like about what they've done with the Mayfair Witches so far, is that they got right to showing him. Whereas they could have done something where you only see, like, the lower half of his body,
Yeah.
you only see him in shadow, you never get a good look at him, because he is essentially, I mean, the impression in the book is he's a ghost.
Right.
Not that he's a demon, but that he's a spirit. And
Right.
and they could have played up the horror aspect. I mean, they could have done all that stuff. But
I think the biggest problem with I think it would be difficult to just translate this chapter into the first show, because the show is so driven by Alexandra Daddario. They want to put her forward. And she wouldn't have showed up at the first episode at all if they'd done that kind of a thing. Because it would have all been flashback to Deidre.
I don't know.
Is it Deirdre or Deidre? Deidre.
I don't know how you pronounce it, but I don't know that would have been a problem, in all honesty.
No, if you're paying Alexandra Daddario.
Yeah, but what you want to do is make a good show. This is not.
You're not
This
gonna
is
get an argument from me.
this is not. This is not a vehicle for a specific actress. She was chosen for a part, and if the part revolves around her appearing in the second episode or even the third, it's to me it's all about the build up. Because in all honesty, we all know, just as it was an interview with the vampire. I mean, Louis is the main character, but Lestat kind of stole the show, at least historically, from people who read it. And in this, Lasher is the guy, because he's, and I've said this frequently, the villain drives the story. Mm-hmm. He's what's happening behind the scenes, under the covers. Mm-hmm. He's what makes the Mayfair Witches what they are. Indeed. Well, I haven't found that out in the book yet. Clearly, in the TV show,
there was a little bit of a.
But I'm not sure yet if this is. I'm not yet sure if this is Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches, or if it's Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches. So.
The thing that I've realized from reading the first chapter is they didn't actually change much for in terms of the story, because the daughter is a doctor in California in the book. The Deidre is, and
well, you go through all yours, and I'll tell you how they did change everything. Okay.
Well, also she was taken from Deidre early, right after birth,
right,
and then Deidre was put under sedation, and the whole thing is him trying to wake her up, or like Lasher is trying to wake her up.
That's what's different. Is that's not brought out in the TV show at all. That it's Lasher's influence.
He's
she's just no. He wants to help her, but it's his job to do the thing that he does, and he tries to. But this influence seems to come over him, and it makes him kind of fuzz out at the appropriate time, so that he's not quite getting the hypodermic in the vein. Like in the TV show, he's clearly he immediately is like, oh, I'm not going to do this. But in the book, he is doing it. He's been told to do it. This is his job. Right. He has misgivings about it, which would have been brought out had they done that chapter as a whole episode. They could have mentioned that. And I'm not sure.
But I think that's a fairly minor thing to change. Like, we were talking about them for the interview with the vampire. Okay. They changed huge amounts.
She is a doctoral student who is in school to become a neurosurgeon, not the top
in the book.
In the book, not the top neurosurgeon in the hospital.
There's a time jump. She has become a surgeon at the end of that first chapter.
So anyway, the part where the doctor is doing it, she's not. Like in the second chapter when she's talking, when we meet.
I've not read anything beyond the first chapter.
Okay.
So.
Well, there's a thing where that says she's getting to be board certified. So she's not the best neurosurgeon in the hospital.
Yeah, I mean, but you're going to make those kinds of things. I'm talking about Interview with the Vampire. They changed Louis, his whole backstory. He was no longer the same Louis as was in the book.
Well, fine.
We don't need to talk. I mean, this is becoming a deep dive rather than a
Well, when we
ramble.
started, I told you we should probably stay away from this because this is what we will talk about probably next week.
Yeah, we'll talk more
when
about
we really get into
I'll
it.
have much more read. Plus, there'll be another episode of the show out.
Right.
So
Right.
we'll have more content to talk about.
Gil?
So this is a Klosthaler, dry hopped, non-alcoholic with
I
Cascade
think
hops.
you need a little bit more phlegm, man. On that.
Klosthaler.
Slockenkacher. Here, let me try and read it. Here we go. I'm going to try and read
It's a malt beverage. That's what it is. It's just a malt beverage.
It's a Klochenkacher.
Please.
Look, just read it yourself. Klochenkacher. Come on. I can't believe you can't read that.
Klosthaler. Klosthaler.
But,
Klausthaler.
there you go.
Klaus? Haller. Because I know that you were talking about, like, oh, maybe I should get back into comic books.
I should get back into comic book reading. Well, once again, it's
Boom Comics does some interesting stuff.
it's Oxygen choices, like you said. Yeah, but our favorites like Batman and Spider-Man, I mean, they have fucking shit the bed, man. They have gone over, they've off the rails, doink to doink. I mean,
They're Anne Rice's Spider-Man?
it's become Anne Rice's Batman and Anne Rice's Spider-Man.
So what are you saying? Why have they gone off the rails? What's happened to Batman?
Well,
that
you
were
get
saying
you
off
get
the
into
rails?
the Spider-Verse and the Batman family where there's like 30 Batmans and 25,000 Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
And I get it. You have iconic characters and we love them and they're fantastic and everybody wants to put their little stamp on it. But and once again, if you have a character that's been around for how long has Spider-Man been around?
60 years?
Yeah.
I mean, since the early 60s.
I mean, like, how many stories can you tell at some point? But once again,
how many stories can you tell where the guy just can't catch a break?
Exactly.
At some point, that guy should just be able to, like,
That's the universe I want to see. I want to see the universe from the Spider-Verse where blonde Peter Parker, who's got the
has it all.
He's got the spider cave, you know, and he's got all the gadgets and shit, and he's like a billionaire. Give me my Batman Spider-Man. Give me my Bruce Wayne Spider-Man. And I might, once again, it's entire fantasy. It's why I don't want to watch dramas. I don't want to watch other people in pain, and I don't want to watch other people suffering and trying to get ahead and failing. I want the fantasy.
So what I'm hearing is that
wait a second. What are you hearing? When you hear things, strange things happen. So
I'm just saying, what I'm hearing is that you're not a fan of westerns either.
Westerns?
Yeah, you say you don't like seeing people suffer. You don't like seeing people having problems.
Let me rephrase
lives.
that. Except in westerns.
Oh, okay.
And period pieces.
Oh, of course.
I love to see people suffer in westerns and period pieces.
The more suffering,
the better. Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
If I cannot see crows plucking a guy's eyes out in a desert, I just don't feel fulfilled, really.
There's a second Batman now. Like, I never kind of understood, why is the guy got to be Batman? Why can't he just be somebody other?
Yeah.
And this guy's passing him. No, I am Batman. I am New York's Batman. And like it's a franchise, you know.
Here's my license.
Signed by Bruce Wayne. I mean Batman.
You didn't hear that.
Yeah.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah. And it's like Marvel does the same thing. Everybody can be a Hulk now. There's like 4,000 different Spider-Man.
That's why your Joe Fixer comic, I was like, But
that's the real Hulk. Like, that is the Hulk. He is Banner. Like, he's just another iteration of Banner's Hulk.
So explain that to me. How does he become gray? What's the deal?
I don't know the whole background, but he is.
I need the anatomy. Hulk. I need the chemistry.
Give me 5 minutes on YouTube.
I mean, clearly the original Hulk is green because gamma rays are green. This is well known in science.
Well, he was also gray.
I'm pretty sure I heard Fauci say it.
he was gray in the comics.
I know. Well, I get it. I get it. No, well, they made him gray. He was intended to be gray originally, and it didn't play well in the printing, so they made him green. But and I know why. That's why they made a gray Hulk. Is that's kind of an Easter egg as far as comics can have an Easter egg. But
and when we say the Hulk, we're talking about Banner's Hulk. That's at least who I'm talking about.
I'm loving this. I thought our ramble was going to suck because I'm like, what are we going to talk about? Now we're talking about the Hulk, man. It's fantastic.
And we got to talk bad about Batman, so I'm happy.
We didn't talk bad about Batman. What did we talk bad about Batman? We talked bad about Anne Rice's Batman.
That's right. Right, but the Hulk has lots of different personas. He's been Smart Hulk. He's been Professor Hulk. He's been like Rage Hulk. He's been.
I'm not sure I recognize that there are more Hulks than just the green Bruce Banner original fantastic best of all time Hulk.
No, when I say I'm not a fan of more Hulks, I'm thinking I'm not a fan of like everybody being a Hulk, like Banner being different types of Hulks. I mean, he's a broken individual. Like that guy.
I guess I could kind of see that if the story is good, but once again it starts to become like Superman's kryptonites.
Right.
You know, there's like a kryptonite for every occasion.
Uh-huh.
We want Superman to act like a villain. Red kryptonite. Okay, we want him to lose his powers. Yellow kryptonite. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It gets to be a little bit like a ridiculous trope that doesn't quite fit. In fact, look, what I have this to put my beer down on. I haven't been doing it, but this is the Green Lantern Agent Orange comic. When they decided that every Green Lantern
had like there's different colors.
Well, there's a dozen different. How many colors are there generally? Like in the basic spectrum?
8.
8.
Is it
something
8
like
or
that.
6 or 8?
I'm gonna go with 8.
Sure.
For primaries and
change approved.
And for combination colors. So they had all of these different lanterns, and I thought that was cool, but sometimes it doesn't like.
Well, I could understand with something like the
Green
Lantern
red lanterns use love, and the orange lanterns use like vengeance or something. I was like, vengeance isn't even a fucking feeling, man.
No, I think orange was envy, and red was anger. Red was the magenta ones, the purple ones.
You read these, man.
I did. All right, so I pulled up. I just did a quick Google search for the different Hulks in the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to do this. Maybe this is a list to rile you up. I don't know.
No, I mean, I've accepted that, like, there are 8 lanterns, and there are, 20 different kryptonites. And, this is a very color-coded thing. I mean, there must only be 8 kryptonites. I don't think there's a magenta kryptonite.
There might be.
I think there's
it makes for sexy
there's a
time.
red kryptonite and a yellow kryptonite and an orange kryptonite and a purple kryptonite, but there's not. I don't think there's a puce kryptonite. Maybe there is, but
all right. So here are the Hulks in the Marvel Universe. Jennifer Walters, we know.
Well, of course,
she's She-Hulk. Apparently, Betty Ross Banner is a Hulk.
Yes,
she's Red She-Hulk.
I knew that about her being Red She-Hulk. Yes.
Right. Rick Jones is a Hulk.
That dude. I want that dude's life, man. He got to change places with Captain Marvel. He was the Hulk's best friend.
So the leader and MODOK turned Rick into a new version of the Abomination called A-Bomb. All right. So the next one, we've got General Thaddeus E. Thunderbolt Ross is the Red Hulk.
Yeah.
We've got Scar.
Yes.
Hulk's son.
Son of.
We've got Amadeus Cho.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the totally awesome Hulk? Apparently, Spider-Man has been a Hulk.
Oh my goodness, that's a surprise. Not
Deadpool has been a Hulk. Hulk. We've got Hulk. We've got a Guilt Hulk. We've got Hulk 2099. We've got Devil Hulk. The Maestro. We've got all kinds of people.
I vaguely remember the Maestro.
Yeah. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is my point. This is why I'm almost glad that I stopped reading comics when I stopped reading them. Because now, whatever kind of hit and worked and went forward, I just go buy the compilation, when it's all done.
Sure.
Like
you don't have to feel the need to...
No, I don't have to read all the stuff that just is
it's impossible to read it.
Well,
see, the Hulks... though, seem a bit different from
the Spider-Man.
Spiders-man.
Right? The Spiders-man, yes.
Because the Hulks are all just they're in the main Marvel Universe.
Or something
But
like that.
the Spider-Man, it's just like, oh, we opened a portal to another infinite universe, and out walks the Spider-Man
Another spider.
UK,
A Spider Ham.
Spider-Punk, Spider-Ham, like all of these stuff. And I'm just like,
Spider Bat Maniac.
at some point, you got to collapse this stuff. Like, you got to collapse it. A lot of these Spiders-men got to die.
Yeah, you need a Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
As soon as Disney owns all of every comic book, then we'll get some Batman versus Captain America.
That's a terrible idea. I can't wait.
I would be watching that movie forever.
How could they do that? It would be fantastic.
Hulk versus Superman? Come on, man.
Such a ridiculous idea. Please do it now.
Yes. Take all my money.
They've actually already done it. I had the giant. You remember they used
the
to
comic books.
Yeah, the giant one. They had a Superman versus Hulk. That's the one where he picked up an entire mountainside.
The Hulk did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was like, the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. So it was like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. And I was just like, I mean, they cheesed it because you have to.
See, that's the problem with those crossover events is, like, yes, you want the theoretical exercise of, like, who could beat up who, The Spider-Man versus Batman and, those kinds of things. But at the end of the day, they're gonna wuss out on an answer to that.
Yeah.
Like they'll do a bit of punching each other, and then they'll like, why'd you say that name?
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
I would kind of dig that Batman versus.
Now we're best friends. Did we just become best friends?
I sure hope we became best friends. You're the greatest.
What I would find even more interesting is just switching rogues galleries, like just see like.
Oh no!
Hulk
trust me.
Against all of Superman's
everybody
bad
wants
guys.
Everybody wants the Joker in Marvel.
No, but I'm not even talking about the Joker. I'm talking about get the Hulk beating up on all of Superman's bad guys, or Batman against all of Spider-Man's bad guys.
Yes,
and just seeing like.
Well, that's what I mean. Like Spider-Man versus Joker.
Yeah, that would be a quip off, man.
Well, there's just no telling what would go on, man. It would be some crazy shit. Well, don't worry. Disney's going to own it all in a minute, and then we're going to see all that shit.
Joaquin Phoenix and Tom Holland did a movie together.
And
It, of course, is the Joker.
Well, he's the greatest Joker of all time.
He's Anne Rice's Joker.
He's Anne Rice's Joker. Holy shit.
So, how do we get onto that?
Well, no, we were just talking about how if you could get Marvel and DC to combine, I don't know, it's just ripe with new material.
Yeah,
because these are all characters that have maybe been copied from one publisher to the other.
Sure,
but it's not the same. Like you can have a character in Marvel that's Joker-like. But he's not the Joker.
Yeah, he's not the Joker.
I mean, there are certainly characters that each publishing company has that are almost virtually identical.
Sure.
But once again, we're never going to compare Submariner to Aquaman.
Yeah.
They're not even similar at all in any way. But if you put them in the same universe, if you had Aquaman fighting Submariner, I mean, what would that be about?
It's like the brothers who don't want to share a bedroom anymore.
Well, it's different now that they don't both rule Atlantis.
Yeah.
Aquaman rules Atlantis, and Submariner rules Checoquaquetzal. I don't know what it is. I didn't really pay much attention to that movie.
Atalan.
That's what it.
I don't think that was Atalan.
I thought it was
something else.
Yeah, isn't that where the animals? Isn't that where the animals from Narnia come from?
Sure, absolutely. Right, but all of this multi-character stuff is like within the last 15 years. Like before Spider-Verse, there was one Spider-Man.
Really?
You know whose fault it was? I blame Miles Morales. No, the half of this is joking, but he became very popular in the Ultimate Universe.
Right.
And so they had to find a way to bring him in when they canceled the Ultimate Universe.
Right.
They needed to find a way to bring some of those characters into our universe. And of course, you merge the worlds together.
Yeah, you have a Crisis on Infinite Earth.
But now you've opened door, and you're like,
You have a secret,
what other Spider-Man could we
wars,
have?
Right?
Yeah, what other Spider-Man would we have? Spider-Punk? Okay. Spider-Man Noir? Well, like, all of these things.
Well, it's all capitalism. They're just trying to sell some books.
I get it. I just get exhausted.
Well, I kind of wonder, especially in in light of Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches, like if you publishing house owns the character,
at least in terms of Marvel and DC.
Yeah, they're just write whatever the fuck you think you can that will sell some books, so it gets like off the rails like this. You know what I mean? So now that we're into Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches, I mean, I think we can all like have our own Mayfair Witches. I mean, I think I've got a Mayfair Witch in mind that I could write up a little bit of like Mayfair
I've
Witch.
got some fanfic I could write.
But it once the publishers own the fucking character, you know, and the guy who actually invented it has no say in the matter, all bets are off.
Well.
So, and it all becomes Anne Rice's Scooby-Doo. All of it. You know it's true.
All right, we gotta go on to something else. I mean, we're almost at the end. We're almost at an hour. But
I know, but once I cut all the stupid shit out of this, it's going to be like 20 minutes.
What stupid shit? What are we talking about?
I know, this is all comedy.
Is gold.
It's comedy gold, baby.
I opened another one of my Klostauer.
I know. We got to finish that. Plus, I'm having real beers.
Yeah.
And they are tasting really good, so.
This stuff tastes pretty good. The Klostauer.
When I go into this to edit tomorrow, I'm going to be like, what the fuck is this shit? What a clusterfuck. I don't even know how I'm going to get anything good out of this.
This is Anne Rice's Nerds of a Certain Vintage.
It is Anne Rice's Nerds. You know what? I'm not cutting anything out. This is going to be the first episode where there's no cuts. I will say thank you for no Pat's tangents. There have been very few Pat's tangents lately.
What are you talking about? I looked up the multiple...
that was totally on point, man. There was no Pat's
I'm looking up, like, who's the Spider-Man, like, various...
The multiple... Hey, look up how many Kryptonites there are.
Spider-Man.
I need you to look up how many colored Kryptonites there are and what they do.
I will do that.
Talk about a list to rile me up.
Oh.
Because there's the one that makes him normal, the one that makes him a villain.
Types of
Which one makes him a vampire?
Kryptonite.
Which one makes him Anne Rice's Superman?
Superman is apparently exposed to pink kryptonite with the implication that it temporarily turned him gay.
I'm sorry, what? Nailed it! Nailed it!
You did get that one. I like that. Purple kryptonite. Magno kryptonite, jewel kryptonite, anti-kryptonite, bizarro red kryptonite, X-kryptonite, blood kryptonite, purple spotted kryptonite, fake kryptonite, bizarro white kryptonite, red-green kryptonite.
All right, we can cut it off there because
this is all being cut out.
I think I've made my point.
This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's look at the various Spiders-man. No, this is,
Well, I appreciate trying to cash in on a popular thing and people just go too far, but are we saying the culture needs to end and be rebooted?
No, what I'm
do we need a great reset?
What I wish would be that some of that energy was channeled towards creating a new character instead of a new Spider-Man or a new Hulk or a new Batman or something like that. You just like the new Batman in New York. There's nothing about him that couldn't be just any dude in a suit. Selling yourself as Batman, you're hoping that you're like going to have all of the fear-inducing powers of Batman, and all of the mania and like drive that Batman has. That's impossible to you can't do that.
Yeah.
Be like, what are we afraid of? Ennui Man. You know?
Exactly.
What makes people what makes people fearful? Going outside, man. You know? Mowing
That's
my
exactly.
lawn, man.
Oh, my Wi-Fi is down, man.
Yeah.
I've lost my Wi-Fi, man.
Yeah. So I don't know if there needs to be. They could have created a new character and spun him off of the Batman,
Right.
and said, "Yeah, you're doing the Batman style work in New York, but you're just not Batman. You're someone else." Like,
Yeah. I tell you what scares people in New York: big ass rat man. And I'm not just saying rat man. It has to be big ass rat man.
Yeah, that would be scary.
Yeah, exactly. If a big ass rat came at you,
Yeah,
fuck yeah,
I would be scared.
like shit.
Shit.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that costume too. All right, I think this ramble has gone off the rails. This is our Anne Rice's ramble.
Well done, sir. Well done. Yeah. But you know what I feel about how this went?
How do you feel?
I feel like I
This shit wired, man.
We do. We do. We nailed it.
it's doink to doink.
I need to get that. But is it doink to doink? It sounds like something doink to doink.
It sounds like something doink to doink would do, but would it though?
But would it doink?
Nah.
But
But
it
maybe.
All right. Well, the dame has spoken, so it is time for us to wrap it up. As always, I have been Patrick.
And I have been doink to doink.
You have been doink to doink. Mm-hmm.
You guys are weird.